What time is it? Adventure time. Hi, and welcome back to another Emma's Corner. Today, we're talking about Adventure Time. Of course, I got my little Marceline sweater on. Hold on. My little Marceline sweater. What do we think of it? My sister got it for me, so love that. Mwah, chef's kiss. Today, we're talking about Adventure Time and who had the most character development. I think it's a topic people have been debating about for a while now, who had the most character growth, and I just wanted to talk about it. Why not? So here we go. We're gonna jump right into it. So Adventure Time. If you don't know what Adventure Time is, it's basically a show that takes place in the land of Ooh, and it has all the characters and they show their growth and adventures and everything that they go on. There is 10 seasons and 283 episodes later, it has became my favorite show. Of course, obviously, I got my Marceline sweater, and of course, I used to wear around Finn's hat absolutely everywhere. You would have to pry it from my cold, dead hands to get that thing off my head. Oh yeah, I also have a little handbow that I made from old socks. I also have, I'm pretty sure, I just like Adventure Time, okay? I can't help it. I've watched all 10 seasons about 3 to 4 times through, and I even watched it while it was airing. With that being said, I have not seen Adventure Time in a couple of years now, so I may miss some points or I may miss some things, and I'm sorry about that. And it won't be so in-depth, and I might, miss some points here and there. So don't get mad at me for that. And it's also just a lighthearted discussion. It's just for fun, just little funsies. Nothing too serious. Let's all just take a break and smile for a second and let's have some fun in life, okay? And I'm gonna have to read off my iPad because I wrote so much. And if I don't do that, guys, we're gonna be here for days and absolutely struggle. So starting off, we got Finn the human. Finn starts off impulsive and he's short-tempered, but he's also kind, brave, and selfless. And he has righteous aspirations of becoming a great hero. And he's willing to protect any innocent person or creature. While struggling to do his best, he wants to come off as rough, a tough hero. But he also has a tender side that's capable of love, compassion. In the beginnings, Finn is just a boy who wants to be a heroic person and do the best people expect of him. By that, he's blindsided by what's right and what's wrong. And a perfect example of this is whenever he manipulated Flame Princess. And even though he said he was sorry, it didn't change anything. She still walked away from him. And from that point on, he started to lose his kid-like wonder. And he started to realize that his actions do have consequences and they do affect other people. And with that, I believe that he became more of an understanding person. He does things with compassion. He doesn't go right for the kill anymore. He doesn't go for violence like he first did when he was younger. He's actually wanting to understand things now. And a prime example of this is with Fern. Whenever Fern locked him away down in the dungeon, he didn't want to fight him. He just wanted to explain to him and understand, hey, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way? But in doing that, he did end up killing Fern. It's not something he wanted to do. But he did realize that Fern was the old version of himself who didn't want to listen, who didn't want the patience, who wanted to go right for the kill. And within killing the old person and who he was, he had to refine himself. It was the older version of himself that he needed to let go. And he started to realize and understand that loving one another and having a family is a lot more rewarding than killing off the monsters. He also puts a lot of trust and believes that no one can do bad and everyone can do good. That's why he doesn't give up on Fern. That's why he doesn't give up on his dad. His dad pushed him away so much to the point where he even lost his own arm. He starts to realize that his dad doesn't want him this entire time, that his dad isn't gonna change. He's just gonna keep burning bridges and do what he wants to do. And he can't change, but he can't control that. And he has to let that go because he's starting to learn that he can't control every situation. When the show started, he was a 12-year-old boy, and when the series ended, he was 17. And he has made so many mistakes, he has changed, he is no longer the same person he was. And when the show started, his morals, his love, the way of seeing the world has grown and has gained a lot of wisdom from losing himself and having to refine himself. He is still a hero, but not an ordinary hero that goes out and destroys the world. He wants to go out and understand. I think he's a great character to grow with because just as we're watching the show with him, we were in the same age range. It shows love, heartbreak, failure, success. It shows how to forgive yourself, how to grow, how to become a better person, how to learn from your mistakes. I do full-heartedly believe Finn probably had one of the most traumatic and most character development, character change. He went through so much. Next, we got Jake, everyone's favorite yellow dog. I don't know why people say he's orange. This girl, he is yellow. Jake starts off as like a fun, easy, go with the flow type guy. He doesn't really try that hard, and he doesn't really tend to worry about things much in the beginning, and towards the end, he's kind of stayed true to himself throughout the entire series. But he also heavily relies on his own powers or Finn to get them out of dangerous situations, but he always shows up when he's needed. He's always trying to look on the better side of things, trying to find the positives. A prime example of that is when Finn turned into a foot. He was like, hey man, I've always wanted to be a foot. It could be worse. He's just trying to be like the optimistic person. So Jake also has somewhat of a dark side. He used to be the guy who would rob and steal things. He also had a tendency to steal items without even realizing what he's doing. He'd also get a little upset and show his little angry temper side during card wars, but hey, who wouldn't, you know? You also see that when he's with Lady Rainicorn and his kids, he has to put in that parental responsible side. When they're not listening, he has to kind of like yell at them. But his kids also grew up in like 2 weeks, so not much parenting Jake do we see a lot. We do see a lot of fun Jake, and we do see a lot of happy Jake. He just wants to have fun, go with the flow type guy. And he's such a firm believer in fate and destiny. I do believe Jake is like your funny older brother, just wants to make everyone feel good and loved. And in doing that, he doesn't really look at himself. He's trying to make everyone else happy. And in the episode Abstract, he's actually forced to look at himself in his truest form. He has to go with himself and understand himself and have these understandings about who he was in the past. And he has to sit with these feelings. But he also has to come to terms for himself. I do believe Jake had character development, but he didn't have the most character development in my opinion. From growing up and stealing and doing bad things, he has to come to terms with loving himself. And he wants to suppress those emotions. But as long as he knows the shape of his soul, he knows that he's gonna be alright. It's okay what I did in the past. I am not that person anymore. My soul, my morals, they have changed. That's not who I am anymore. And that's okay. And I'm gonna continue to keep being me and not let those things worry my little head. And that's beautiful. Miss Bonnabelle PB Bubblegum. But boy, oh boy, Miss Princess Bubblegum. She's the leader of Candy Kingdom. She follows through everything. It has to be scientific and it has to be factual. Okay, she's not a big fan of magic. She'll do anything for her people and keep them safe. And that kind of shows her that she's like this pristine, pretty princess, has it all together. But behind closed doors, she will do anything to protect her people, good or bad. Just like spying on them, having mass genocide, even cutting off their limbs and throwing them in the dungeons. It kind of hints at the darker aspects of her personality and her moral code. She does adore her kingdom and the safety of everyone else, but it also drives herself to exhaustion. She seems very close-minded in the very beginning of this series. She finds it hard to trust and put faith in the people, and a prime example of that is whenever she gave Finn and Jake tarts, she actually gave them the poison tarts and gave Cinnamon Bun the actual tarts. So she's finding it hard to trust people, even if they're heroes. She also gets very insecure about her errors, and she has made an example of this at her attempting to open the door and what was missing, and then failing. This is where you also get to see Princess Bubblegum and Marceline in their growth of coming together again after thousands of years after the Mushroom War, and finding each other, and then breaking up, and then at this point, nobody really knows that they were a thing. And I think that's a good thing, because we never get to see Princess Bubblegum's emotional side until we get to Vermin's. When she had a hard time putting her trust in people, she lost her faith, she lost her people, she lost her kingdom. She finally cries, and she shares her struggles on how she's exhausted, and she can finally open up and rest with Marceline. Princess Bubblegum just wants the best for her people, but in doing so, it can be the wrong thing. Also, Princess Bubblegum can display non-hesitant and unwillingness sometimes, especially with Ice King. She did not want to accept Ice King at first as Simon. She still saw him as, weird old Ice King. She does have a hard time putting trust in other people, because what she built up for herself, and she has to take care of everyone. There's no one there to take care of her, and when there was, she only got hurt. And by the end of the series, I feel like she's very open-minded, she has more understanding, she knows now that it's okay to ask for help, and she kind of grows from this serious dictator, still being a lesser form of a dictator for sure, But she's also learning to accept people for who they are, and instead of trying to change them or fit them in with her morals and control them throughout the entire series, she has learned how to let go and stop being so controlling. And for her, for controlling something for so many years, it's hard to have things not be controlled. I need to stop trying to control people. You just need to let them be. I think Princess Bubblegum had a lot of transformation. I really do. Now we're on the Ice King, also known as Simon. I do think this take may be just a little controversial, but hear me out, you know? Just listen to it. It could be. I don't know. I hope it's not. Simon is probably one of the most complex and the most misunderstood characters in the whole series. In the beginning, he's just the old wizard creep who's alone and has no friends, and he just wants to steal princesses. But from the episode I Remember You, it shows he's a lot more than just Ice King. It's not that he's not willing to change, it's that he can't change. He sacrificed himself, his sanity, to protect Marceline. He would lose his life known as Simon to make sure Marceline is safe. His moralities and behavior as Ice King aren't him. He lashes out because Simon's still inside there. Because Simon's been hidden almost for 1,000 years by the crown. Ice King is not who he is. Ice King just runs after princesses and steals them because he's trying to get back with Betty. But he's not understanding what he's doing. It's devastating to watch Marceline struggle and watch Ice King struggle, not remember who he is, and through the help of friends, he's able to become less Ice King and more Simon. Even though he is still Ice King, he backed off on stealing princesses. He's just wanting to have friends, and that's why he's so drawn to Finn and Jade. Simon will do anything to protect anyone he loves, even if that means completely changing himself. Even if that means forgetting his roots. He will put others before himself. He'd rather damage himself. And it's sad to watch. But throughout the entire series, towards the end, he's finally coming back. He's finally starting to understand himself and what happened to him. I think he had a lot of character development and character growth. But these are two different characters. When you learn a backstory, it's hard to say if Ice King actually had character development. When Ice King wasn't even real. It was the crown. The crown is what made Ice King. Without the crown, he's just Simon. Also, side note, I absolutely love that everyone just kind of goes, yeah, we'll call him Simon now. We're not going to call him Ice King, we'll call him Simon. And I love that. It makes my little heart so happy. Moving on. But it's hard to watch the beginning and see how everyone treats him so bad, but how are you supposed to know that? Apart that it's just Ice King. Simon is so intelligent, he's kind, and he self-sacrifices. He's also a watchful guardian over young Marceline, and he was super optimistic. And I think that's one of Simon's great attributes. After the Great Mushroom War, he worked so hard to make sure that Marceline was okay. I think that's so notable that he tried everything he could to make her smile, make her laugh, and I love it. And it's sad that Ice King is misunderstood and lonely, even labeled as a psychopath at times. It's not who Ice King is. Ice King himself has a lot of love. He's a selfless person. He loves Gunter and would do anything for them. There's a bunch of ice creatures he's created. He's even a wizard at the Wizarding World, and he has friends, and he's very harmless in nature. He's just brought to insanity by wearing the crown. He has a very limited memory, so it's hard for him to understand what's right and what's wrong. It sucks now that when he's Simon, he doesn't know who Simon is. I think Simon and Ice King have a beautiful story to tell. It's hard to say there's development within the characters, and these are two different characters. But knowing the backstory in a character can definitely change your point of view. And I think it's a very prime example of to not judge a book by its cover because you don't know how it's gonna end. And like I said, I feel like that can be a little controversial because yes, Ice King went through a lot, but Ice King isn't Ice King. Ice King is only Ice King because of the crown. When he loses his crown, he doesn't have Ice King ability powers. He's just that old man. And Simon has always been Simon. Simon's always been in there. He was just corrupted by the crown. I feel like there was definitely character development, more backstory to Ice King and Simon, but I don't know about growth. I'm sorry. I hope that did not offend anybody. Please, nobody get mad. Oh my god. Moving on. We've got Marceline, the vampire queen, okay? Everybody's favorite vampire, alright? Now, Marceline is half human, half vampire that turned into half vampire, half demon. Crazy, am I right? She's 1,000 years old and she has seen history repeat over and over again. She loves being mischievous, she's a trickster, and even Finn put it that she's a radical dame that just wants to play games. But she wants to put out to the world that she is tough, independent, a badass person, which she is. But she can also be sentimental. She's very emotionally attached to her little Hambo that Simon got her, which, who wouldn't be? She's very independent in the early episodes and often would act without concerns. It's easy for Marceline to express her feelings through music. But one of the biggest shifts you see is in I Remember You, because she spent so long with Simon, and Simon doesn't remember her or remember taking care of her, and she began to cry. She's learned how to be more accepting and more mature in her immortality. She'll say things like, I'll be able to hang out with Princess Bubblegum forever. She's becoming more happy with who she is. But we also learned throughout the series that her and her mom both survived the events of the Great Mushroom War. But her mother is slowly worsening from an illness, and during the time, who would take care of her? And that's where Simon came in. But of course, Simon left. And she only becomes a vampire through hunting down the remaining vampires in the land of Ooh. She also realizes because her father is a demon, she's able to suck the souls of these vampires and become a vampire. And with doing that, she actually found a human tribe, and she would use those powers to help protect the human tribe. Marceline's dad eventually returns and tries to give her an amulet to have her take over the Nidosphere. After Marceline admits she does not want to be part of this, her father does not really understand her. She believes that her father does not care, and she's expressed this through her songs, like the Fry song. Although she really does love her father, she does feel peer pressured into being in the family business, into ruling the Nidosphere. She starts off as a strong, independent person. She doesn't show her emotions, she doesn't let anyone in, which is fair enough, considering everything that she's been through. She's starting to realize that not everything has to be that way, that her friends will always accept her. It must be so frustrating to live for 1,000 years and see history repeats itself, and have one person who cared for you not remember you, and have your own father not understand you, and that's your only form of family left. I do believe Marceline had great character development and great character change. She will do anything to make others are safe, and she would also do anything to hide herself, to not show her emotions. Like in the song House Hunting. I'm not mean, but I'm 1,000 years old. I just lost track of my moral code. Speaks volumes. In the beginning, she doesn't care, she's feisty. Because she's been alive for so long, and things have changed so much for her, it's hard for her to accept that. But towards the end, she's really realizing that it matters what's in front of you. It matters what's right now. It does not matter what happened years and years ago. It's almost like she wants to fight her immortalization. By the end of the series, she's accepted because she realizes how beautiful life can be, instead of just being an angry person towards the world. And she makes the best of what she has. Okay, this is my last one, and I don't think you guys are gonna expect me or expect this character, but Miss Flame Princess. Oh my god, I love Flame Princess. Miss Phoebe, okay? Miss Phoebe. Sorry. She's pretty calm for the most part, but she does suddenly tend to have violent mood swings throughout the show. She has been described as passionate, evil, and intense. She was locked up as an infant and not educated properly. She went out in the woods by herself. After a while, Phoebe began to question herself and doubt whether or not was she in fact evil, because she's a lover of destruction, but she liked destroying the bad guys. She didn't want to destroy the good things. Spending more time with Cinnamon Bun has really become more aware about trusting people and getting into relationships. She doesn't like how people hide things from her, and she wonders if everyone is hiding something, and she wants complete honesty, and she doesn't want to get tricked. I think Phoebe is an amazing example of how your environment can affect who you are. She was locked away, left out to defend herself as a baby. She didn't know who she was. She didn't understand anything. She was only told that she was evil by her family. It's hard to have compassion or understanding when things have only been a certain way for so long. That's why she has these breakdowns and why she throws these tantrums. But she's also a great example of change, and that you are not what other people limit you to be. And Cinnamon Bun has helped her realize that she can be positive, and that she can be amazing, and that she can be great, and that she isn't evil, and that she isn't bad. She doesn't want any more lies, she just wants honesty. She just wants everyone to be happy and real. And I think she has a lot of character growth, in my opinion. It takes a lot for somebody to be told that they're evil time and time again, to be locked away, to even Princess Bubblegum testing on her, trying to figure out what's wrong with her, and even telling her that she's not good. Phoebe even overthrew her father and changed the kingdom for the greater good. She could have easily followed in her father's footsteps, but that's not what she wanted to do. I think she's a great example of that you are not who you are when you're younger, and you're capable of change. And being a better person, she's also a good example of setting boundaries. From leaving Finn and not letting him back into a relationship, to only being friends, to putting respect into herself. And I think that she's an amazing character that often gets really overlooked. So with all of that, who had the most character development? Well, I could say all of them. Personally, I think younger me would always be like, no, Marceline and Simon had the best character development. Did they have one of the best storylines? Oh, heck yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Yes, they did. I love their storyline. Marceline's my favorite character. I love Ice King and Simon. I love all the characters. I love all of them. But I think Finn probably had the most character development because he is at the youngest stage of life. Everyone kind of has been around for a while. I feel like Finn and Jake help unshell those characters. If it wasn't for the help of Finn and Jake, those characters would still be. But I do think that Finn probably had the most character development just because he was so young when the show started. The show started as like a silly show. And then by the end, oh my god, you are in tears. I think I'll end the video on that Finn probably had the most character development. What do you guys think? Obviously, I haven't watched the show in so long. I haven't watched it in like 3 years or so. But I do remember the show pretty well. Just meant to be like a fun discussion and things. I absolutely love Adventure Time. I adore Adventure Time. I love Distant Lands. I love Fionna and Cake. I just love Adventure Time so much, and I think it's a great show. And if you haven't watched it, I think it's a great show to get invested in. I'm just gonna leave it off there. Please, if you guys have anything more to add to this discussion, or if I missed anything, leave it down below. But in a respectful way, let's be respectful to one another. Again, this is just a silly, fun video. I just like talking about Adventure Time, and I remember the debate of who had the best character growth and making a video about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to follow me over on Instagram, where I'll stay up to date with you if you stay up to date with me. And you see the behind the scenes sometimes. I did a time lapse of me setting this up, so it'll be over there if you want to go see it. I don't know. Make sure to like and subscribe so I can keep making great content for you, and we can keep discussing random things, because who doesn't love that? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, this was just lighthearted and fun. But alright, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye! Peace! And turn on that bell notification. Yikes, bro.